I just created an entirely new ticker data spreadsheet that will help automate your analysis of the income statement and better understanding the company's profitability. So let's go ahead and break down this spreadsheet. I'm getting ready to release this again on tickerdata.com. And like always, if you'd like to download this spreadsheet and also get access to the ticker data extension in Google Sheets, then you can become a member at tickerdata.com. Let's go ahead and start breaking this down. For example, let's say we want to look at Verizon. I'll come up here and plug in stock ticker VZ and hit enter. And you can see all of this data is going to automatically load in. Now let's go ahead and look at things from a wide perspective. If we come down here, we can see we have revenue data, cost of revenue, gross profit ratio, net income ratio, and earnings per share. And we have this data from 2013 to 2023 listed out here, but of course with ticker data, you can get data dating back over 30 years. So that's pretty cool. But essentially what we're doing again is we're breaking down the income statement metrics for this company and the profitability for this company. So we can see the most recent year here, Verizon generated around $134 billion in revenue, gross profit of around $61.4 billion, and net income of around $11.6 billion. And we can also see their earnings per share was sitting at $2.76. Now, of course, we have earnings per share, obviously a very important metric, listed out right here. And so we can see the earnings per share trends over the past decade. So 2023 was around 276, which is a decline from 532 in 2021 and 506 in 2022. Now we also have two charts here. We have our revenue versus cost of revenue. So the blue line is going to be our revenue over the past decade, and the red bar charts are cost of revenue. Now this is really important, and basically what it's going to do is help us better understand the profitability trends for this company. So in the case of Verizon, we can see revenue's been kind of stagnant, but the cost of revenue has been slightly increasing during that same time period. Now, what's the end result of this? And basically, we can see the end result by looking at the gross profit ratio trends over the past decade. So for example, if we look at, let's see, 2013, they had a gross profit ratio of around 62.76%, but we can see it was slowly trending downwards for about a 5-year time period. In 2018, it was around 57.58%, and it stayed in that range again for another few years. But if we look at the past couple of years, we can see 2022 gross profit ratio sitting at 44.29%, and in 2023 sitting at 45.88%. So that's not a good sign for the profitability of this company. Less and less the revenue this company generates is finding its way to the bottom line. So some of the metrics we have here, again, we have our current gross profit ratio, 45.88, but we also have our 5-year average gross profit ratio and our 10-year average gross profit ratio. These two metrics are definitely something I wanted to add into this spreadsheet. Now the reason is, when we look at more mature companies specifically, we want to see increases in the gross profit ratio. For companies that have slowing revenue growth, one potential way they can add more money to the bottom line is by increasing their gross profit ratios. But when we see a gross profit ratio that is a decent bit below the 5-year and the 10-year average, that is not a good sign for the company. And with ticker data and this spreadsheet, it's very easy to see that that is the case for this company. They are becoming less and less profitable, revenue is growing at a slow rate, and the cost of revenue is increasing as well. So again, this spreadsheet makes all that analysis extremely easy. Now let's look at a better example. Let's say we want to look at a company like Visa. I'll plug in V and hit enter. Now the income statement data and the profitability data we're looking at now is pretty much exactly what I want to see out of the investments that I make in my personal portfolio. For example, just look at the earnings per share. We can see very predictable and stable growth over the past decade, going from around $1.90 in 2013 to 2023, $8.44. Pretty phenomenal earnings per share growth. Look at the revenue versus the cost of revenue growth. Revenue has been exploding over the past decade, while cost of revenue is growing at a steady rate, and gross profit ratio has stayed at a very high range. Look at that. In 2013, it was sitting at about 79.62, and it stayed right at that range consistently for over a decade, and it's now sitting at 79.89%. So again, very high levels of profitability, and it's very stable. It wasn't fluctuating any over the past decade. Look at the 5-year average around 80.19% and the 10-year average around 80.79%. So the current gross profit ratio in 2023 was slightly below that, but it's pretty much exactly the same. And when the gross profit ratio is that high, it's really not any concern if there's just a little bit of fluctuation overall. Obviously, we can see really nice growing revenue, 5-year revenue CAGR of almost 10%, and 10-year revenue CAGR of around 10.74%. And look at the net income CAGR as well, 5-year of almost 11% and 10-year of 13.24%. So again, all this is made extremely easy with this new ticker data spreadsheet. And with the data listed down here, you can break out the details even more. So this is just another example of what's possible with the ticker data add-on in Google Sheets. I plan on adding a lot more sheets to the ticker data website, just like this one. This one does a good job again breaking down profitability and the income statement, but I also want to create sheets for things like the balance sheet, the statement of cash flows, and an even more advanced stock screener. So like always, if you'd like to be able to download this spreadsheet or any of my other spreadsheets and also get access to the ticker data add-on in Google Sheets that allows you to automatically import this financial data, you can become a member at tickerdata.com at the link in the description. So with all that being said, thank you guys so much for watching, and please don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.